What are the key workforce factors you think schools should be measuring?
Essentially, I think firstly demographic data, which is the age, the gender, any diversity data such as non-English speaking, disability, Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander data. Then you've got the employment type of data, whether their employees are casual employees, full-time, term time, and then there's the entry and exit data. I guess that's important in most employment is, the data that you collect on entry and the reason for leaving, and the longevity of staff within a workforce. I think that's really important as well. Professional development. Schools, I've been talking to schools the last 2 days, and professional development is something that they spend a lot of their budget on, so they really want to get some metrics around which professional development and who's taking the professional development. So that's another one. And leave. Leave is a great indicator of staff engagement, a great indicator of the culture of the school.
Why do you think the education system has traditionally been slow to take up analytics and benchmarking insights?
Oh, that's a big question. The education system, I suppose, is not so much slow about taking up data analytics and benchmarking. It has taken up data analytics and benchmarking substantially in student data. So immediately schools default to student data and analytics and benchmarking that are actually going to inform teaching and learning. So that whole big piece of workforce data, which there's a body of research in human resource management, a body of research in other industries, has not been taken up by schools. And I guess that's the gap in the data that we are trying to fill. That's also the gap in the data that I identified when I completed my doctorate, which was in recruitment and selection of teachers.
What has the response been like from school principals and teachers so far?
School principals, or school leaders, I suppose, that we've spoken to have been really excited because they know that they don't have the expertise, because they school leaders, school principals, school leaders have come through the education system, and their leadership teams have come through the education system, and so they don't actually have the knowledge of some of the workforce and HR data and analytics and also benchmarking that's available out in the marketplace. They've also been excited by the fact that they'd like to, some principals have been quite relieved that they can benchmark their school against like schools, meaning if you're a remote and a rural school and you've got a high turnover of staff, that's very discomforting for a principal. But if they actually look at all of the rural and remote schools that are similar to them, and that establishes that that turnover is quite normal in their context. As
a former principal yourself, what sort of impact do you think these data-driven insights would have had on your decision making?
Oh, a huge amount of impact. In fact, when I was a school principal, I was searching for something like this, and that was why I actually, instead of completing a Master of Education, I completed a Master of Human Resource Management, because I felt even back then that that was a gap in the information, is being able to have the data, the benchmarking and the analytics to actually create a long-term workforce strategy that would assist myself and the board in our future planning, as opposed to quickly filling positions when they became vacant. So I was searching for something like this way back then.
What kinds of decisions can be better made with the help of workforce benchmarking tools like yours?
Certainly, I think an organisational structure and workforce strategy are decisions that can be better made using a benchmarking tool like this, because it provides the workforce data, it provides that comparison between similar schools as to which workforce variables are showing student positive impact on students. So I think that's probably the most important part of it. It also can help with succession planning, which again is a long-term strategy, and schools don't often have succession planning in place because they're time poor and everything seems to be quite reactive and happen quickly. So succession planning for critical positions is quite important in other businesses, and I think with schools now, to have targeted workforces and to have that would be really helpful.
What are the most important personality traits for teachers, as shown by the digital insights you provide?
Right, we don't actually provide insights into personality traits. Our data is much larger picture data. Ours is on those workforce demographics that I spoke about earlier, because personality traits, it's not one size fits all. Schools vary greatly in their context and their culture. So one personality type that might suit one school may not suit another school or its context. So the other thing is that we're not about that fine-grained data. That's a really specific area of research, and my personal research has indicated that that psychometric testing might form part of the suite of recruitment and selection processes, not at the high level that we're looking at the whole big picture workforce data.